In this segment of the Ellis Martin Report and Money Talk Radio, we speak with Stephen Stairs, President and CEO of Benton Resources, trading as BEX on the TSX Venture Exchange and BNTRF on the OTC. Following a project generation business model, Benton has a highly prospective multi-mineral property portfolio. In addition, it holds large equity positions in other mining companies that are advancing high-quality assets, and whenever possible, BEX retains net smelter return royalties with potential long-term cash flow. The company is currently focused on advancing its high-grade copper-gold Great Burnt project in central Newfoundland, which has a mineral resource estimate of 442,000 tons at 2.50% copper indicated and 829,000 tons at 2.11% copper inferred. The project has an excellent geological setting covering 25 kilometers of strike and boasts 6 known copper-gold-silver zones over 15 kilometers that are all open for expansion. Further potential for discovery is excellent given the extensive number of untested geophysical targets and copper-gold soil anomalies. Stephen Stairs is a successful business entrepreneur with 32 years of experience in mineral exploration. Steve's career spans from 1988, where he spent 7 years with Noranda Exploration on such projects as the Hemlo Gold Mines, Eagle River Gold Deposit, and the Gecko and Matabi Base metal camps. The next 10 years of Steve's career were spent managing the operations of Stairs Contracting Corporation, a successful mineral exploration services company in Thunder Bay, Ontario. In 2004, Stephen and his brother Michael started Benton Resources, where he remains as president and CEO. Since that time, he has been directly involved in the startup of many publicly traded companies on the TSX Venture Exchange, with the most recent being Clean Air Metals, where he secured 2 high-quality copper, nickel, platinum, palladium deposits and assembled a team of professionals to take the company public. Stephen, welcome back to the program. It's been a while. Great to visit with you today.
Thanks, Ellis. Always great to have a visit with you.
I was just on a panel in New York with a one-to-one group a couple of weeks ago, and it was a critical minerals panel, and we were talking about funding to the sector, interest into the sector, and I just came out and said, listen, if it's not copper, nobody's interested right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. Copper, obviously gold as well with the price is getting a little interest, of course, but copper certainly seems to be getting lots of interest, even though in the small caps like us, it's still a bit of a struggle.
I did speak about gold as well, even though it wasn't a gold panel. I said the money's not going to really come into anything else. We're talking about antimony, where nobody's really interested in nickel right now. Lithium has been on a death spiral forever. It was never something that was long-term, not that we don't need it. But let's talk about copper, and not just with regard to the infrastructure of everything, but we're coming into a world where more energy is being demanded through the use of AI and that kind of energy, where copper sort of has to come in along with that, and then investment into the sector. And I think some of that money that's coming into AI is looking at copper right now as something that they need to secure. And they're doing that on their own.
Yeah, as the world is becoming a little bit more independent on each other, and copper has always played a huge role in industrialization of the world and continues to do that. And of course, the new world is AI, and you just can't get away from the uses of copper and the conductivity of it, and it will be in demand for the future. There's absolutely no question. And frankly, we're running out of supply. There's not enough bigger mines being built anymore, and that's going to drive the demand.
So what are you doing in Newfoundland to help alleviate supply-demand issues there? You keep coming up with these incredible drill results and grades of up to 5%, 3.5% copper equivalent. You've got the real story in Newfoundland, so you've got to keep exploring no matter what the market is doing right now. And it's tight as far as getting money into it, at least in North America.
Yeah, absolutely. I keep telling people that Newfoundland is probably the best jurisdiction in Canada. For one, for exploration-wise, we're far beyond or behind in exploration compared to the rest of Canada, given a lot of Crown land was held right up until the 50s and 60s, where it wasn't publicly available for companies to explore. Hence, that's why some of the bigger companies like Asarco and those guys were there exploring private land that was issued through either the Reed Railway or Abitibi Price, which was the major forestry company at the time. Newfoundland's got a lot of catching up to do, and we're seeing that with big deposits being found on the island, including old resources such as Firefly Minerals from Australia, advancing the Ming Rambler deposit to more than 60 million tons tons now. That deposit started in the 70s at just under 2 million tons. It just goes to show the scale of some of these deposits that can be discovered from historical resources. And I believe we have one of those coming together just at Great Burnt. And of course, the Dominion project that we just picked up is in a huge VMS camp where the Bentons mine was at one point the richest VMS deposit on the planet. So massive potential in that belt as well.
Talk more about that. Let's review why the Great Burnt Main Zone is one of the most prolific areas of Newfoundland. Certainly, you're familiar with the entire province and you selected these areas to work with.
Yeah, no, these have great geological content, lots of metal endowment over a big area. We've got over 25 kilometers of strike length where we've only really explored about 12 and a half to 13 kilometers. This summer, we're completing a 3,000 sample soil grid to the south in hopes of finding new lenses that we can drill off and work on at shallower depths. But the results that we've released in the last 18 months on Great Burnt have been nothing short of spectacular. These are world-class intercepts, and we continue to grow it. Even in this last release, we drilled near an historical 1969 hole that graded less than 1% over, I think, around 1 meter, and we hit 12 meters of 2.5% or so. So it just goes to show that the size of this resource continues to look larger, and we just have to do a lot more drilling on it.
How are you getting funded for the exploration and the drilling that you have to do, that you must do to continue to stage out the company in such a tight market for investment in North America in the junior mining space?
Yeah, everybody's fighting for money. Of course, that's always the hard thing. We do have a couple large shareholders. We have Conwave in Europe that owns a 9.9%. We have Eric Sprott that owns just under 17% of the company. And we've got fairly good connections around Canada to critical flow-through money, which generally you can get a premium for on the stock. What we really need is new investors, interest globally in the kind of the small cap space, which I believe is just starting to trickle down now, but it's a bit of a challenge for sure. But so far, we've managed to be able to raise money and continue exploration on a monthly or annually basis anyway.
Who's reaching out to you that you haven't heard from before that is telling you that the junior mining space is bleeding into the generalist zone?
You can see it in the markets. Certainly talking to my co-workers, my friends in the business, and everybody is seeing the same thing. You can see it even just in the market in general. There's a lot more volume on the junior space. I shouldn't say a lot more, but certainly 10 to 20% increase in volume in a lot of companies. That's good to see, but I don't think we're quite there yet, but we're getting there.
What is it about Benton that makes the company stand out more so than perhaps some of your peers or lesser peers? I'm going to say size and grade and jurisdiction. Am I right?
Size, grade, jurisdiction. We have a phenomenal exploration team. We've had tremendous success. We've paid our shareholders dividends in the past for a junior company that's been around since 2007. That's pretty much unheard of. Our latest was a dividend of lithium stock. That's a company being advanced by our team and also partnered with Piedmont Lithium out of the U.S.
Stephen, you just recently acquired this Dominion project. Enlighten me and our audience. What is it? What does it mean? And how does this add to the portfolio in your company in a positive way?
Yeah, the project is outstanding. Again, we're in the Bentons Valley belt in central Newfoundland, where there has been production in VMS deposits such as Bentons Mining and the Duck Pond VMS deposit that was in production by Teck Resources. Multiple other zones that's unmined, deposits that are sub 2 million tons that with one large deposit nearby could be all mined in the same mill, so to speak. And the gold potential in this belt with Caliper Mining just to the south of us developing the Marathon gold deposit, which is going to be 5 to 10 million ounces. And we've discovered multiple new gold zones, multiple new VMS zones already within the first 30 days. And we've increased our land position by at least double in the last 12 months. So lots of news flow to come from our surface work on that project as well.
I've been thinking about you as a copper company basically all the time since we've been associated, but I need to consider Benton Resources a copper gold company and a player in the likes of a company like Newfound Gold, correct?
Yeah, correct, Ellis. So you got to remember that the Great Burnt project also has a gold deposit deposit associated with it up at the South Pond zone. We have a 2.7 kilometer long sulfide zone there that grades anywhere from a gram up to 20 grams in drilling, but the wide intercepts of 1 to 1.5 gram material that we've released in the last 12 months. So we really are a copper gold company.
Steve, how do these projects become mines? Because I think that's what's really important when you're looking at a company, is to see the end game here. How does that happen?
Yeah, the end game is you got to do the legwork and the groundwork. We are very good at finding and expanding and delineating ore bodies. We don't pretend to be miners. The old saying in our business is we find them, they mine them. That's something that we're very good at, is exploring and delineating resources. And then we bring in the engineers to do the next step, of which is development, eventually mining.
Steve, it's always great to catch up with you. Don't be a stranger. Thank you so much for visiting with me today on the program.
Yeah, thanks, Ellis. A great pleasure for me as well.
I've been speaking with Stephen Stairs, President and CEO of Benton Resources, trading as BEX on the TSX Venture Exchange and BNTRF on the OTC. Find the company at bentonresources.ca. For Money Talk Radio and the Ellis Martin Report, I'm Ellis Martin.
Would you like to be one of the first to see who we are following? Subscribe to our audio newsletter. It's free. ellismartinreport.com.